just to kind of get started, my name is Mark Fayford. I'm the founder and managing director of My Needs Network. And My Needs Network is a networking service provider designed by and for the disabled community. Networking service provider is a phrase that we've come up to describe ourselves. It's really the best three words that can describe us. We're all about networking and connecting services and providing those services. So our mission, so what I want to do in this presentation is I want to first talk a little bit about, to make sense on where we want to go with disaster support, I want to give you a little bit of an overview of what My Needs Network is. And then as we go through this conversation, we will start to, hopefully it'll start making sense on how we want to approach a disaster support initiative. So My Needs Network's overall mission is to improve nationwide connectivity, awareness of, and access to resources for the disabled community. Disabled community, we consider those individuals with disabilities, their family members, caretakers, and all those organizations, nonprofits, companies that provide care, services, support, equipment, you name it, for the community. So it's both populations within that disability community umbrella. We want to do essentially the same thing, but with a focus on before, during, and after natural disasters. So nothing's going away with My Needs Network. My Needs Network's staying the same, and hopefully that'll make a little bit more sense as we move on. But we want to put equal attention on this disaster support initiative. So a little bit more about who we are. This is how we operate. This is how My Needs Network operates. There are quite a few pieces to this wheel, as you can see. There is a research component, marketing, strategic marketing component. There is web design, software development. I won't go through all of these, but there's quite a bit. To make this network work, we need to have lots of components moving at the same time to make the big wheel of a network work. So this is how we operate. This is a little bit about who we are. So again, I'm founder and managing director. I am in a co-ownership agreement with University of Florida on My Needs Network. We work with parent liaisons, we work with community members, and third-party teams, for example, in software development, marketing. University of North Florida, we have a good relationship with them as well in terms of providing us interns to assist us with a variety of different areas, business model consulting. And then United Way is a recent addition. We are working together on building an AI tool, which I can talk a little bit more about in a presentation I'm doing tomorrow. But these are the folks that make the wheel, the operational wheel, spin for My Needs Network. The same operations, the same stakeholders will definitely be playing a part in any sort of disaster support moving forward. So My Needs Network got started in the world of research. My background's in research. I'm a research manager. I've been a research manager for a while. And to give you a little bit of a history, back in 2016, I was asked to conduct a research study on what are those needs for both organizations and individuals and family members within the disabled community. What are the needs? Clinical, non-clinical, it was left that broad. So that turned into a 2-year study. The way we conducted that study is we brought on members of the community, so brought parents, organization leads, brought them in, and they became part of the research team. They told us how to conduct the research, what kind of survey tool, what kind of data collection tool to use. Sometimes it went against what we believed was the right thing. Well, The community was right, and we were wrong, and we did what the community told us to do. Turns out after the end of those 2 years, we had a pretty good study. We had a lot of data, a lot of really good information, and we decided to do something non-academic and build what the community was telling us to build what it is they were asking for. So with that, we found pain points. What were the problems? What were the needs? But then we also found we also got the solutions and the feedback from the parents, the families, the social workers, the disabled community. So some of those needs or solutions was some sort of system that needed to be a community-driven system. We didn't know what that was to look like. It just needed to be a community-driven, a sense of community ownership. It needs to be sustainable. It cannot be whatever we build or whatever the community needed it could not afford to be a system that was going to die in a couple years or just disappear flat out. It needed to be a system that was going to be in place that people could depend on. More than that, it needed to be something that could grow. Think about a network. To really network and to really address needs in the community, we have to consistently grow way out of a local region, for example. But that was a solution to in what we found. We have to maintain a focus on these root problems and stick to the problems, the pain points that the community had told us about. Networking was important, of course, and that's what we focus on quite a bit. And networking is a pretty broad term, and it goes into a lot of different layers, is what we found, after years of working on this. It's got to be easy and free. So how are we supposed to sustain and grow something that's easy, that's free? We've found ways, and we've been doing it. And it's got to be streamlined, updated information, a very easy to use tool. These are the pieces to a puzzle, a one-stop shop that we needed, that were the solutions that the community told us what they needed. So we decided to attempt to build what it was that the community was asking for. So unexpectedly, after a few years of research and some testing, some designing, My Needs Network was what we came up with. So I kind of hesitated on putting this slide in. I know it's not 100% applicable to disaster support, and I know none of these slides are so far, but hopefully it'll all start making sense here in a minute. This was a recent publication that we've published on My Needs Network this past year. The importance of this slide is this slide shows our commitment to a research methodology that we depend on. This research methodology is called community-based participatory research. What's important about this for My Needs Network, for you all, and for a potential disaster support initiative is that we have to rely on this, because this is what gives us it's the community that drives it. We depend on the community's input and involvement in My Needs Network. It's a must. Without the community's involvement, without their input, without you using My Needs Network, we're an empty house that's just sitting there collecting dust or worse. We plan to use the same methodology in a disaster support build. The reason we published on this is not because we ran some amazing research study. The reason we got published in this journal is because we contributed to the science. So we're comfortable with working with the community and depending on the community for direction. We're going to be doing the same thing with a disaster support build. So this example here is an analogy I've been using more and more and more and more. Over the last few years and real quick is I guess this is my pointer, yeah. Over the last few years, we have been growing My Needs Network since 2018. It started as a little seed, and we've been growing this tree, and it's been getting pretty strong, right? It's a pretty strong young tree. Yeah, since 2018, man, that's a long time. In terms of a tree, it's still kind of young, and that's kind of where we are. I mean, we're just now at the stage of growing where we're ready to start branching off. These are some of the areas that we're interested in branching off to, and I'm sorry I can't make these pop up right now. It was a fault on mine when I was preparing these slides. But we're wanting to, in addition to growing this tree and strengthening this tree trunk, this general My Needs Network focus, we want to start branching off and giving these branches equal amount of attention, equal amount of nutrition and growth to truly build a network. Disaster support is one of those branches. We stick to all of the same fundamentals, the research concepts, the operations, the team, and we start building out these branches. The difference between these branches and My Needs Network as the base is these branches are going to require additional partnerships, additional sponsorships, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But as far as community involvement, we have to have it. Otherwise, we don't have a network. So this is what we want to do in area of focus. These are just some of the ones we've been talking about behind closed doors. And we have a process and a methodology of going about it and making each one of these things happen. Disaster support being our topic today. So as a tree is three-dimensional, so is a way to think about My Needs Network. It's three-dimensional. You walk around that tree, there's more branches, right? I've been answering this question for years. We are not a Duval County focused, we're not a local networking provider. We're not even a state level. We need to be a true network, we need to be nationwide. We have a system in place to become nationwide. We're going to be focusing on a couple of different states over these next 12 months. And in the case of disaster support, we want to continue to focus on Florida, and we've also started talking to some folks out in California for a couple different reasons. One, it's a completely different type of natural disaster that California's been dealing with. And two, we're on polar opposites of the country. So what a great way to kind of start building out this network. Texas and Ohio are on there because those are two other states that we're going to be focusing on for the overall My Needs Network initiative over these next few months. Disaster support will be those two that are circled that we're really kind of focused on. So our approach is, and we're very early on in this disaster recovery, disaster support approach. So the idea of let's focus on a networking service for the disabled community during times of natural disasters. The idea came up. We tested the idea, we bounced the idea around with some people. Yeah, we got some pretty good feedback. It's pretty common. You know, it's kind of like when you ask your mom, how she's always going to like what you have. If you throw the idea out, she's always going to like your idea. You know, for the most part. It was kind of the same kind of thing. You know, so we tested the idea. We got some pretty good positive feedback. Well, that's not enough. We need more. So we go into this approach. We started with a little bit of a literature review. It's very common to that being the next step. We started seeing what are the peer-reviewed papers out there? What kind of research has been done on the disabled community and natural disasters? What's out there? Turns out there's a little bit, not too much really. Where we are right now is the need for a needs assessment from the community from you all. And we need this. We need partnership. To make this happen, we have to partner early, way earlier than we started partnering with My Needs Network. My Needs Network, I went into that co-ownership agreement with UF about 3 years after we started building My Needs Network. To do this, we got to start with a solid partnership, a solid sponsorship, almost right off the bat. We cannot, to grow My Needs Network and to grow a disaster support, Mark and My Needs Network, or Mark and UF cannot do it on our own. We have to find partnership, solid partnership. Once we have a good, thorough understanding, and we have our methods of doing so, once we have a good, thorough understanding of what the community wants, maybe we find out that the community says, you know what, you need to focus on other areas of My Needs Network. You need to focus on more important needs. We don't know yet. We need to hear it from you. We need to hear it from Family Cafe. But once we understand, we really understand the direct feedback from the community on what they want and what those pain points have been related to a natural disaster, and what would be the perfect scenario of a tool, a resource, a service, whatever you want to call it, during a disaster, then we can start building. But we cannot start building without doing those two steps first. It's a must. So going into the literature review, we did, like I said, it was a very brief lit review, but we wanted to do something and get a good feel for what's going on, what's out there, what people have already done. Let's learn from what other people have done already. So a lot of this is probably not going to come as a surprise. A lot of the pain points in terms of the disabled community before, during, or after a natural disaster, there are additional recovery challenges, hesitation in evacuation, financial impacts, property damage, of course, and the equipment that's damaged, things like that, and additional layers to problems with being displaced. My daughter and I went through, we were located in St. Augustine. We went through Hurricane Matthew a few years ago, and I understand all 5 of those things directly applied to us as well. So I can imagine the hardships, the extra layer of hardship for those individuals with mental, behavioral, emotional, physical disabilities. It's got to be tough. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to take on this initiative and start exploring it. So that's what we found so far. So what we did here, and I'm sorry for all the words on the screen, what we did here is I asked one of our interns I said, keep it local. The reason we need to keep, and this will make sense hopefully a little bit later on. This type of network, it needs to be more of a local result, local results. Well, disasters are localized, right? So we took Duval County. I'm with University of Florida College of Medicine in Jacksonville. So we took Duval County as an example. These were some of in a quick search, what resources are out there for the disabled during disasters. We did a very quick search, very similar to being in a panic situation. A natural disaster happens. I have 5 minutes of internet access. What's out there? What resources are out there? Well, these were some of our findings, right? Pretty standard, good, very good resources. Almost every one of these have really good, solid websites, good search engine optimization, pretty solid organizations. And that's great. We're not in competition with them at all. We, if anything, it's the opposite. We want to partner with them. We want to be friends with them. But we also want to do more for them and for you. But this is just what we found. This is what's out there in a quick search, and I do want to emphasize that. So our plan, again, is those two things right off the bat. We got to do this needs assessment. We got to find out what's going on. So there's some good resources out there. Are they enough? Are they not enough? What else is needed, or should we move into a whole nother subject? Talk to us, tell us, and I'll explain how we're going to be able to do that. And then the partnership. Organizations that you have had good luck with, you've worked well with, we need to know about them. We need to be able to reach out to them and say, hey, are you interested in moving forward with us on this initiative? So this is your network. This is designed for you. We need to learn from you. So it's something that is useful. Our initial plans, and I don't want to go into them too much because I don't want to persuade you either way, because I really want to learn from you all and everyone else here at Family Cafe. What is your idea of an ideal situation, of an ideal type of tool? Our initial ideas is an AI type driven tool that would help at a very localized level. And I don't want to get into too many directions of that. We've had some conversations with some companies. We've started some preliminary partnerships with those companies. We're ready to go in that direction, but again, we can't go without you giving me the green light, you giving us the green light to go. And then once we build, we got to grow it. Just like everything else with My Needs Network, we build it, and now it's time to grow it and nurture it and feed it and get people using it. So that's our plan. That's our long-term strategic plan in a pretty simplified format of what we need to do to address natural disasters for the disabled community. I know this slide's a little busy too, and I apologize in advance. The reason I wanted to show this slide, so I know I've kind of mentioned a few dates here. We started really designing My Needs Network in 2018. We're pretty sturdy. We have lasted, a significant number of years now, building on and being very resourceful in doing so. We just started back in January, really hitting our marketing strategy. The importance of this slide is to show you that really what I want to demonstrate here is that we can do this. What I'm talking about here is not unrealistic, but our method works. And if you look at our numbers, I mean, look at that, 199% increases. It's these 100+% increases in all kinds of social media views. And traction. People are starting to recognize this. People are starting to see in other words, our marketing strategy is working. We will use the same methods, if not improved methods, to get the word out and to build our networking system for disaster support. In other words, what we're doing is working. But we need to do more. And these numbers will continue to increase. So, where we are today, myself as founder, UF, our operations, what we need to learn to start next is about 5 categories or areas of need. We need to learn about your past challenges. What have you or someone that you know of has experienced? Tell us about your experiences. We don't need personal information. We have a system set up to where we don't need any of your information. We just need your feedback. Tell us about your experiences. What went right? What went wrong? What resources worked? What didn't? We need to know about some of these past challenges that we dealt with during a natural disaster. We also need to know about what's important, like what's the priorities? What categories of need? Is it transportation? Is it working better with the insurance? Is it housing and clothing and accessing food? Is it working with the electric companies? We don't know. We really need to kind of learn about what's most important during a natural disaster for us to move forward with any sort of build. So talk to us and any kind of feedback on what's important to you. What are those pain points? What is the roughest part in what are those categories of need? What are those categories of that are the biggest challenges in with a natural disaster? And what works? What's working right now? What resources are working out there? What's not? And overall, most importantly, what is it that you need? Right? I know these questions are broad. We go a little bit further into these questions, and we will be adding more questions, and we'll be pushing these questions out in our marketing strategy. But these are some general themes of areas that we need to learn about. So here are some of the questions. I hope that you all are able to experience. I'm going to pass these out. We've been passing these out a lot during the conference. I know I think a few of you have received some of these already. But it's a QR code. This QR code is going to bring you right into this set of questions. And we're going to be adding more questions to these. But we want to start collecting information. But we want to know, we want to know about those examples. And again, we're not asking for any personal information. You're able to just get in there, answer those questions. I think we asked for an email address. And if you don't want that to be required, talk to me. We won't make it required. I'll turn it off later today. Some of those services that are most needed. I know in my personal experience, there's a variety of different services that are needed depending on where I am with that natural disaster. So tell us where you need it before, during, and after. The pain points. Most difficult component. So My Needs Network, it's this network, it's to improve access to resources. We're going to maintain that focus. We're going to do things, it's going to be a little bit of a different focus because it's targeted towards disaster support. But tell us about those resources. Tell us what's worked and what's not worked in accessing resources before, during, and after. What's been helpful? Not only do we want to learn from them, we want to work with them, and we want to grow this with them. So it's kind of been crazy with My Needs Network over the years. People have come to us over in general and said, "Oh yeah, what you guys are doing, I know this organization that does that, or I know that organization that does exactly what y'all are doing." Well, we found some that have been close, but in every single case, it's been a good thing. It's been a good thing. We've never once considered them our competition. We're building a network. We're not trying to go in. It's a network. It's bigger than a competition. We want to include them to My Needs Network. We want to do things for those organizations. We want to help promote those organizations. And then your opinion. What's the pie in the sky? What's the best case scenario? What would be the best case scenario of a tool, a resource, a service, whatever it is? Doesn't have to be AI. It doesn't have to be a platform. What is it that would work for you to improve your access to resources before, during, and after a natural disaster? We'll be pushing these questions out also in other states too, and it's going to be interesting to kind of see what we get in other states. What are people saying in California? What are people saying in Florida? It's going to be an interesting collection of information. This time around, this information that we're collecting, it's not necessarily for research purposes. This information is for building purposes. So we're using a research methodology, but we're not using it, we're not collecting it for research purposes. Does that make sense? It's more for a build. So how do we do this? Right? There's a whole lot, and I've had to answer this question over the years, as far as you're wanting to do all these great things with My Needs Network. How are you going to make that happen? Because it's got to be free, right? It's even got to be free for our resources on there. What if the last thing I want is to charge a resource to be on My Needs Network, and they say no, we don't want to pay it, and now what? Now parents and families don't have access to that resource, right? It doesn't work. So the way we're going to do it is in partnership, in sponsorship. That's our model. Now, that's easier said than done, I know. I know firsthand that's difficult. But it works, and we've had success with it. We've partnered. We have partnerships. But we need additional partnerships to build on this. We need a disability-specific partnerships on this. However, in the meantime, we can operate on a very simple fee-to-service, a business-to-business type of model, and we can go in on grants. We can work with organizations on grants. We can build out electronic databases for organizations. We can provide a lot of different types of operational and technical support. Marketing strategy. We can provide these types of resources as fee for service. If we earn an income on providing some of these creative partnerships, is what I've kind of titled them, that gives us the revenue that we need to build this type of tool. So again, we keep it free. That's no problem. Everything you have access to is free. That's not a question at all. We're not even asking for donations. We want to work for we want to partner, and we want to work for any kind of revenue we generate. And what are we going to do with that revenue? We're going to build this platform out that you tell us that you need. So that's how we plan to operate this. Here's some of our partnerships right now. Here's what we've been doing over the last few years. A lot of these have come, especially the last couple years, once we've started cleaning up our build, and it took a long time to build this network, the infrastructure. And we've started this partnership initiative. We have more partnerships we need to add on there. Some of these organizations are here, and I'm not saying this just because we're at Family Cafe, but Family Cafe has been one of our best friends. They were there for us when we were very young. They do you see how good of a job they do here, and they're amazing. And they're amazing even on the personal level. They've been there. They've done above and beyond for My Needs Network. So is UF. UF had partnered with me early on and trusted me in these builds, and we've worked very well together. These organizations have all played a part in one way, shape, or form of building out My Needs Network. This is a good group, but we need to quadruple this number of partnerships, and we need to have we need to quadruple that alone just for disaster support. So the work's not done, it's just getting started. Here's a little bit of our history. And when I was putting this slide together, I was thinking to myself, man, I'm going to give you all the wrong impression. I'm going to give you all this. I don't want to. I'm afraid I'm going to make y'all think, oh God, it's going to take them 9 years to build this disaster support campaign out. No. This is what it took 9 years to build the foundation for My Needs Network, to get My Needs Network growing. So this is the work that's already been in. It's a solid tool. It's a solid platform. It's a solid networking service provider. It's sturdy enough to handle this disaster support. What's dependent in this disaster support piece is who we're able to work with, because we are pretty much at capacity with building My Needs Network in general. We've got to work with, we got to go in on this with the organization in mind. So again, your feedback, you're the experts. I'm just the research builder guy. I'll just do what you tell me to do. But that's what we'll be doing. We're going to be this timeline. It's not going to take 9 years to build this out. It's going to be a lot quicker. So what's our needs in all this? I think I've kind of said it a few times. Our needs in this big picture is we need your feedback. That QR code is the same QR code that's on here. What's going to happen when you, and I don't have a demo slide for this, but what's going to happen when you go there, you're going to have those questions that I went through, the paragraphs, the multi-line questions. You'll see 5 of them, open-ended text boxes, and I'd ask that you all, as many people here, start filling in those, giving us some, I don't care if it's 1 sentence, 1 paragraph, I don't care what it is. It's valuable to us. But we need to start learning what this needs, how important this is, and we need to start learning from you. And that's where we are. So we don't, right now, that's our stage. That's where we are in building this disaster support. We need to learn from you what we need to build, and then we'll build it. You can always email me if you need any information, if you have any questions. This email goes to me and some of our team. Find us on social media. Here I am too. And then our references from the brief needs assessment that we did, the literature review. So, and that's all I have. So, do you have any questions for me right now? Yes, ma'am.
So I want to know kind of how you thought this was a need, the whole My Needs Network. Like, how does it compare to things that already existed, like 211, or like other aggregate organizations that offer resource, like community-based ones and things like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. And then, so the way, it's because we depended, I've asked that question too. I've asked that question several times over 9 years, I promise you, because I'm always second guessing.
I'm really not being critical, I'm just asking, because every time we not reinvent the wheel, like I guess what's different about it, and because every dollar resource you take to build something is a dollar resource
Right.
for on the ground for somebody experiencing a disaster, right, or needing the LIHEAP or whatever it is, whatever resource it is. So I'm trying to figure out where this fits in the landscape of what our...
So the main reason is because we depended on what the community told us. We used a validated research methodology to learn from the community, and what came to us, what we learned in themes and categorizing and taking that data, that researched information, was that the community needed a free, easy to use, one-stop shop to improve access to resources. So United Way 211 is a perfect example. For years, and I still do, for years not only do I refer people to 211, or do we refer people to 211, but we look up to 211. In fact, we just received an award from United Way to do some additional builds. So We, but the main to answer your question is that's what the community told us to do. They didn't they if they had told us, trust me, I promise you, if they had told us, hey, you don't have to worry about a database, I would have been good with that. I would have been good with that. That's not been an easy lift. So, but that's why. That in a nutshell, that's why we listen. We just did a good job of listening to the community.
If research is your baby, then will you trace it to boots on the ground outcomes? Like how many people found a resource on there? Then did the resource actually come through and meet the need?
So yes and no. So we have right now we are in the process of building out an evaluation tool to kind of track those types of metrics, not personal information, but track traffic to different resources and things like that. We were in the process of building that piece out. We have evaluation plans in place, but we a lot of times when we for the last few years as we've been building and building, we've gotten the information to individuals or done some support and provided some help to different organizations, but we did not do the follow-up with them. For example, if somebody needed, for example, with My Needs Network, if somebody called me and said, hey, we need a roof, or we need a roof and we're looking for some funds to build that roof. We can't afford it, or we need to get the carpet ripped out, or we need a new pediatrician. We did all that work on the front end, but we didn't go back and say, hey, how did that turn out for you? There wasn't enough time in the day. That's really the why. What we're doing now is we're building out a system to somewhat automate that. So yes, evaluation is extremely important. Yes, sir.
So it's kind of a two-pronged question, right? You refer to build, you refer to these questions. So you're creating a database and you refer to AI. So you're creating an application that processes that data with AI, right? If I understand you correctly. So
that is an idea, but we aren't building a thing. Okay. If the community tells us we need something else, then that's what we would attempt to build.
Okay, so my assumption is when you're asking these questions and you're trying to match it, and you've referred to AI a few times, it's kind of like a Gen AI, simple AI application that you're trying to create from the data, but then you will match the need or the perceived need to like resources.
Yes, you're spot on. That's been our initial thoughts, okay. But that's been our thoughts as far as what we would want to do is integrate AI and have it talk to our database and have it very localized, but we're not building it. It all depends on what the community tells us to build. AI, of course, it's on our radar, of course, but it doesn't. I mean, that's why I didn't really talk too much about our plans, because I don't want to sway anybody either in their ideas, in what is really most needed. So the last thing we want to do is be like one of those be like a company where they think they're super smart and they are super smart. They go out and build something they know everybody's going to love, and guess what? It was a want. It wasn't a need. And it sat there and it collected. So that's what we're trying to avoid.
So if you have partnerships that support your organization, how is it like organizations that request funding, or is it like individuals that request funding? Because that would be like, if you go to individuals, I mean, the scope and scale of that request would be humongous, versus if you just then provided your support to individual organizations that then disseminate it to the individual level, which creates another level of hierarchy.
So are you referring to The example I gave about somebody needing a new roof, for example.
Right, for your network you've created is my need, so I'm saying, okay, my need is X.
Right.
But can my need go to your organization and say, this is what I need? Or how does it facilitate, what is the decision-making process where you actually evaluate every need and who gets funding and who doesn't? How does that work?
So we don't provide the funding directly.
Okay.
No. So what we do is if somebody comes with the roof example, or we also we get a lot of I need some funding to do this. I got one earlier this week. Someone needed some funding to buy a battery for their portable O2 piece of equipment, and it was a vital piece. We don't provide that funding. That's not us. What we do, we're a glorified matchmaking service. We will, through our system, through our network, we can help them find the foundation, maybe find the church, find the personal grants that will provide them that information.
Okay, so my need goes through you, and then you from your network, kind of like Facebook ISO, right? In search of blah, blah, blah. But going through your network, that then facilitated through your partnerships, then who would be able to provide that for that need?
We would do it in a couple of different ways. We would go into our database. I like to clarify this too. Our database is a fraction of what we do. We're not primarily a database. A database is one piece of the pie, right? It's an important piece for sure, and it's a time-consuming piece, but that's not all we are. One way we would do it is we would go into our database and connect with that need, with your need, and excluding any kind of personal information. Hey, we're working with somebody that needs A, B, and C. Get that out to these foundations. Get that out to these churches. Do you know anybody? What can you do?
So it's not a website. My impression from this was that this is just another place for me as the person in the crisis to have to go sort through 100 things that might be able to help me fill out 100 applications. They all say no, their funding is gone, and then now my time where I'm in the disaster and my special needs person is sitting next to me and I haven't even taken her to the bathroom all day because I've been trying to sort through, because I've been sent in 100
Right.
questions, none of which panned out.
That is what we are trying to avoid. That's why.
13 months after our disaster, every day trying to find something to fix our house, get caregiving from my special needs daughter, get home. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I didn't get here. I didn't get the lottery. Couldn't even figure out how to get here and did it.
So
That's my question. I can't do any more information. It's information overload, and I can't handle the paperwork I have.
right.
Sorry.
No, that's so what we would hope that you would do in that situation is, ideally, yes, again, those solutions from back in those slides, free, easy to use, all those components. That's what we kind of survive on. That's our foundation. So we have to be easy to use. We've been built to be easy to use. So we would hope the ideal scenario would be, easiest way to use it is, yes, email us. I have this need. And we go and try to find those needs for you. In our perfect scenario, in My Needs Network's perfect world, is that you're going on a My Needs Network, takes 2 minutes to create an account, less than that. I think the only thing we require is an email address, and that's so you get notified of updates. And you find these tools useful, and you are able to network and connect with organizations that do accept your insurance, do accept your personalized situation, and you're able to find what it is you need. You're also able to work with different parents or get the word out to different groups by category or whatnot. In addition to that, there's a whole nother layer to where, yes, if you were And right now, there's a good chance, as we've been building, if you're looking for something in North Georgia, maybe we don't have it in North Georgia. So we would ask that you don't give up on us, email us, tell us that you need some help in this area of North Georgia, and then we go to work for you also. But yes, that's what we're trying to avoid, is you going through the phone book.
Because the things that honestly in this 13 months have been the most helpful in our situation. So we had tornadoes that came through the Panhandle, destroyed our house in Tallahassee. So we moved back to St. Petersburg, our hometown, and went through both hurricanes. So we lost everything.
Yeah.
We lost our cars, we lost our home, we lost all our stuff, we lost our daughter's wheelchair got affected, and we're still displaced. So it displaced our family in separate places. So like our caregiving was gone too. So anyway, all that to say, what's been really and truly the most helpful so far has been in real time having the Next Door app.
I bet, yeah.
And the Buy Nothing Facebook groups.
Okay.
So I can immediately in real time try to find a handyman, come and tear the drywall down, at a cost that I can afford because insurance hasn't come through and FEMA has done zero. And then and then go back to the Buy Nothing groups and say we don't have any dishes anymore. Oh, somebody's got a set of china. It's 8 blocks from here. Okay, they want to give it away because they're moving. And I don't know how you get to that ground level in those aggregate and I promise I'm not trying to be critical.
No, you're fine.
I want to understand how your site could be helpful in real time.
So the natural disaster, we're not built for a natural disaster. We're just trying to find out what people need. But in My Needs Network, which yes, theoretically it could be applied to natural disaster. We would so for example, we've started a subcategory of resources of contractors and construction only, and this is only in one local area. Why is it in one localized area? Because that's the only, we can't blanket this, because that's where the need came from. Hey, I need discounted contracting services in this area. We focus on that area, we build out that piece. So my point is, we found some discounted contractors. So the way we would differentiate from Next Door is, here's some contractors for you that are willing to work with you at a discount because of the hurricane or because of your disabled daughter. And there's companies that are doing it. I was amazed. I thought, and our team, we were like, oh man, this is going to be an uphill battle trying to find people that are providing discounted services for people who have a disabled family member. I said, let's see what we can do, right? Well, within 30 minutes, we found, I think it was five local contractors willing to do discounts and work for the cost of supplies for these families. So there's people out there that'll do it. And what I'm asking is that people get on there, give this a shot, work with us, contact us, tell us what you need, and we can work with you on getting those needs.
Will it be app-based?
What's that?
Will it be app?
We you know what? My sister asked me that same question today, and honestly, I haven't had that much of a demand for it. It's not a priority of ours right now. What is a priority is integrating some AI tools, because the AI tools are going to give you a lot more step by step. So for example, somebody needed a wheelchair, right? A specialized wheelchair. Everybody knows where the DME company is, but based on your situation, step 1, step 2, step 3 to get to that wheelchair. And that's what we're working on right now. We're actually in the middle of building a language model that provides you a step-by-step, now do this. Now, because of this being your insurance type, now do this. Have you gotten a referral from here? Step-by-step to your specific situation. So we're feeding a language model. We're just like that tree, we're growing this language model and raising it right now. And We're at the very beginning stages of that, but it's in place. So yes, and also too, please keep this in mind. This was built for you. There is not this. This is this has been we've gone in on this. The best way to put it is we knew there was a need for a house, a one-stop shop, right? We built it, and for years we had no clear business model. We have no clear business model. We have no way. There's no end of the day we're going to make millions of dollars. It's not like that. We have spent. We've built it. So it's a house. It's an empty house, ready to be used, ready to be lived in. It's for you all. So it's what you put into it to build that network. It's what furniture you put into that network to make it a network. Because we can only do so much. I know UF is a big organization and they're an amazing organization, but we cannot do it all. We have to do this right. We have to depend on the community to use a free tool. So it's what you make of it. So what does that mean to you? What does that mean to us? So if you get on My Needs Network and you're finding that, for example, all the foundations in there are just requiring tons of paperwork, we need to know that. Hey, this one's requiring me to do all kinds of stuff. This one's got me right. This is no better. This foundation is not doing me any good. We need to know that. And tell us what doesn't work, what does work. It's your network.